Welcome back, everyone, to Just Football, Not Soccer. You're with your host, Mikey and Mico. Mico, what's going on, man? How are you?
Great, man. What about you?
I'm good. We had a great weekend of football and a lot of good results. And I think what we'll be doing on today's episode is we'll be covering a few of the results from the English Premier League, the Spanish La Liga, the Italian League, the MLS, and the Saudi League. And I think we'll cover some of the big games from the Premier League first. One being the Manchester City going on again to win 5-1 against Fulham. Erling Haaland scoring a hat-trick again. The man's unstoppable. There's actually a weekend of a hat-trick of hat-tricks this weekend. We had, obviously, Erling Haaland score against Fulham, 3 goals. Then we had Evan Ferguson, the 18-year-old striker from Brighton, putting Newcastle to the sword in the 3-1 win. I know we have been saying since the beginning that Ferguson will be a player for the future. Any thoughts on that game, Miko?
I like to talk about Manchester City because it's incredible how every year they perform better and better with Pep Guardiola football. Incredible. Since he started in Barcelona, I don't know if you remember Barcelona, the tiki-taka he used to have in Barcelona. You can tell that Manchester City has a not tiki-taka like in Barcelona, but they're very consistent playing good football and scoring a lot of goals almost every weekend. And they have another player that he grew a lot last couple seasons, Julian Alvarez. Everybody thought he would be just replacement of Haaland, substitute or whatever. But now they're playing together this year, different than last year. So they changed a little bit the way of playing, and they're doing amazing. He scored our first goal, and then he even got the penalty, the Alan score. This city is a fucking machine, man. Fucking machine.
Well, this kid has already won this Alvarez. He's already won the treble with Man City. Something that the last things, and he won the World Cup. Yeah, within the space of the same year, right? I mean,
same year, very young. He got the place of Lautaro Martinez in Argentina for the World Cup. If you remember, very beginning, he was sitting on the bench. And then from the second match, he became like the striker of Argentina. He played very well. He's doing great in Manchester City this beginning of the season. But Haaland, what to say about Haaland? Haaland, man, he can win the Ballon d'Or. He's continuing to play like that, to score goals. He's gonna break the whole records.
Yeah, he will definitely break all the records. I think the thing is with him, he's gonna follow, because his agent was initially Mino Raiola. Obviously, Mino Raiola's agency is still in play, where there's that lady now that heads it, and he had the plan with Zlatan Ibrahimovic, where he would take him to different teams every 2 to 3 years, where Zlatan obviously started out in Malmo, went to Ajax, then went to Inter, and then went to...
Man. Went to Juventus first.
Yeah, Juventus. Yeah, okay, he went to Juventus first. But it's interesting, because I remember when he played there, that's when Nedved and Trezeguet were playing there still. I think Juventus had a very good team at that time. But my point is that his plan was to travel the world, win trophies wherever he went, and he did do that, right? Even in his last Instagram post, when he came out with his retirement, he said, obviously AC Milan is the one that he holds close to his heart. But he also obviously came and played here in the US for LA Galaxy, where he said he had a lot of fun. And I think he kind of put David Villa in his place. And we'll get to that. He played yesterday for LAFC, losing to Inter Miami 3-1.
Funny story.
Yeah.
Mentioning Mino Raiola. Funny story how Ibrahimovic met first time Mino Raiola. Do you know the story?
I do know, but I think it would be cool for the audience to know.
Oh man, it was incredible, because first time they had this appointment in this place, this restaurant bar, I don't remember, and Ibrahimovic expected to have this cool man coming with big car, like probably super dressed, and he came with a short t-shirt, probably Rolex, the maximum he had,
and he's
expensive.
really fat as well, and he was really fat as
Fat,
well.
fat. Speaking this um English, Italian, and he was a really impressed how Mino Raiola was, super smart, super connected to the players, so to Ibrahimovic. He got shocked, like, hey, who I'm meeting with? I mean, this is like a poor guy. Who is this guy? And then, man, he was the best in the world. He was the best in the world. Ibrahimovic is still mentioning him in all his interviews. I mean, he made the history. Ibrahimovic should retire this year. For sure, if Mino Raiola was still here with us, Ibrahimovic would continue until 50 years old because he wanted to make more money. that was the mindset of Mino Raiola.
I don't know if Ibrahimovic's body could hold out. I mean, towards the latter end of his career, he had several injuries. But to be fair to him, he would probably carry on if he really wanted to. He might even come out of retirement. He's that kind of guy. But going to Mino Raiola, I know we're going off on a bit of a tangent. To your point, he was a very ruthless agent, right? He wasn't very well liked amongst the teams in which he dealt with. And obviously, he represented players like Lukaku, Paul Pogba, and Erling Haaland, right? So my point is that with Erling Haaland, going back to the fact that I don't think he'll break the English Premier League record. Maybe he will. I mean, he already got 50-something goals last year in total, but in the Premier League, over close to 40. Alan Shearer was over 250. If he stays for 4, 5, 6 years, he might do it. Maybe even sooner than that. But I think then he'll go on to whether it's Real Madrid or Barcelona and do the same kind of journey in which Zlatan did. And when you speak, because his father played for Man City, Erling Haaland's father, he came out and said that. But yeah, obviously as a Manchester United fan, I'm very envious of them. But to your point, they play amazing football, and they're just every year they level it up. Even Arsenal, which is supposed to be the team that's going to compete with them, far behind Manchester City. All right, going to my team's game, Manchester United losing 3-1. I don't know if you watched the game, Mico. It was at Arsenal, at the Emirates game. It was a pretty even game, back and forth in the sense throughout the game. And I think towards the back end, as Man United always do, they bottle jobs, as they say. They fold under pressure. And I think it was towards the end, when you look at our team, the 11 that was on there, you had Harry Maguire and Johnny Evans as our two centre-back pairing. I mean, how are we supposed to compete even in the top 4? None of those defenders will make it into even the top half of the table defense team. As they came on the team, obviously the confidence in the defense falls apart, and then everyone just loses their head. And they don't know how to play at the back with Onana. Onana, you saw at the beginning of the game how well we were playing under pressure from the back. Onana, Lindelof, Martinez, Deloitte did very well on the left. You actually have to question. The last few days of the transfer window, we're trying to find for a left back. We go get Reguilon after after Cucurella wasn't able to come from Chelsea. But Deloitte plays quite well there. We should have prioritized the centre back, but the ownership didn't allow that to happen. But also in that game, they lost 3-1. I think they deserved to.
Let's say in this game, Man United was also unlucky.
Do you think Garnacho's goal was not offside? A lot of people are saying the angle which they used. I don't know. I mean, for me,
they have technology. That's the whole point of technology. Man, they have technology, but
look at VAR. Every week, VAR is failing.
Man, these offside nowadays with the VAR are ridiculous.
That's a joke, man.
Back in the day, the offside, you must have the light between the players, right? Now,
correct, yeah.
If your nose is over the line of the other player, is offside. That's insane. That's insane, man.
That is, dude.
For me, Garnacho goal was goal, but goal for the rules nowadays is offside. Okay, for the rules is offside, but for the football, for the beauty, the fun of football, you can't cancel those goals. Man United was unlucky because it was almost the end of the game, scoring the 2-1.
We're going to win that game. We're going to win that game.
For Arsenal. Even Arsenal is a good good team. They play well, back and forth with Man United this game, and they were lucky as well. Then, of course, Maguire, Evans didn't play for a while. Then he was training this summertime. He was allowed to train with the Man United. Then they signed him.
Yeah, what I think happened with him was that obviously Maguire was supposed to be gone. Man United accepted the bid from West Ham for 30 million. Maguire doesn't want to go. He is so lucky, man. How in the three defenders that are ahead of him, in the first 4 games of the season, they're all injured now. Lindelof got injured, Martinez got injured, Varane was injured the previous week. All of a sudden, he's a starting player. But this is what I'm saying. This club is run so poorly. You'll know if a player doesn't want to play there, the fans, the club will say, "Okay, cool, you're done." Lukaku wasn't even in the door, and they told him to leave already, right? But let's. So again, I mean, I do feel like we were hard done by the Garnacho goal, but again, Man United has a lot of problems. They have a lot of problems, and it stems from the top. We've discussed this before.
Yeah, one more problem now.
Yeah, one more problem with Anthony. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard about Anthony. I mean, this story. It's very, very common story for football players, famous football players, famous players generally, not only football players. And he has been accused of domestic abuse by his ex-girlfriend, and the Seleção, the national Brazilian national team,
they dropped him, right?
Yeah. For that, he wrote, I guess, a big post, saying that everything's bullshit, is all bullshit or whatever. Well, I don't know what is your opinion on in this case, but my opinion that a lot of girls nowadays take advantage of all these famous people, and I don't want to say 100% is fake, but many of those accusations are not real. Are not real. I don't know the fact that the case of Anthony, particularly, but it's very tough. These players nowadays, they had to be very careful. I heard one interview of Davis, the Canadian player playing Bayern Munich. He was very scared before to meet his girlfriend now, because to hang out with girls when you become famous, super rich, it's always dangerous. The danger is behind the corner. You have to be very aware. You have to be very smart.
Yeah, I think this is obviously a very divisive conversation, and I think we need to tread lightly. But I do agree with you. Footballers, I think any famous person naturally becomes a target for these women, right? It happens to many people throughout the years. And to your point is that it's almost getting to the point where the story or the saying, cry wolf, right? You cry wolf enough times, no one's going to believe you anymore. And that's starting to happen because there's a lot of videos coming out where these women are openly admitting that they've come out and applied or accused these individuals, these men, of these false accusations in order just to get money from them. Speaking about Anthony, he's such an easy target. He grew up in the favelas, grew up from nothing. He's obviously now contributing and making all this money now. I think he's close to £200,000 a week, coming into extreme wealth. Everyone that knows him before that naturally wants a piece of that pie. So it's not the first time, it's not the last time these kind of things will happen. It happened to Cristiano Ronaldo. It still continues to happen to these kind of guys. But Anthony, if you focus on his football, yesterday he didn't have much of an impact going ahead of the game at the top, but as a defensive unit, he was very good. And I think Ten Hag will die on that sword when it comes to him. He spent the money on him. But to the point of the conversation, it's not good. Man United already has a lot of issues. Jadon Sancho and Erik Ten Hag just had a fallout now. And I have a very strong opinion on that. And that's maybe something we can talk about later this week when things settle down. I think player power now has got to the point where it's actually, these guys are getting paid stupid amounts of money. Jadon Sancho is getting paid over £300,000 a week. And he can't perform, you can't put in the hard work in training to make yourself chosen by the manager, where the youth players, Garnacho, Facundo Pellistri, are getting ahead of you. You know what I mean? There's a lot to be said about that. But I think, again, well into Arsenal, but I agree with you. I do think it was a game that could have gone either way. And then
what do you think about the funniest? What do you think about the funniest team now in Premier League? the Chelsea. He's a man.
I completely forgot about them, hey?
Man, that's
Was it the
I
one
don't know
nil to
if you
Nottingham
watched the
Forest,
game.
eh?
Yeah. I didn't watch the games, but I watched the highlights. And I mean, Nottingham Forest. How long ago they won a game like that? They were probably they just went to the Premier League this year, and
No,
and
last year was their first year, and they stayed
last
up.
year, yeah, this is
They
the
stayed
second
up,
year.
yeah. Mm.
Come on, the Chelsea. I don't know if you watched also the Jackson missed a goal. Man was better than a penalty.
I told you
And
that number 9 position at Chelsea is cursed, brother. It doesn't matter who you put there. We had this conversation on the last episode with regards to the curse of the number 9 Chelsea shirt. They bring this Jackson guy. Look, I hope, to be fair, I hope he comes right, and he might. But not in
I
Forest.
feel sorry. I feel sorry for Chelsea fans because Chelsea has great fans. I have been on the Stamford Bridge a couple times. It's a great stadium. They have great fans. The team last 15 years was a great team. Really, they won Champions League a couple times. I remember with Di Matteo, the Italian coach. Um, with Tuchel, man, great team, great club, and now with the new owners, Chelsea's going down. There is something off. It for sure is frustrating for the fans.
Yeah.
Completely different story. The Brighton. If you go to Brighton, man, Brighton is killing it. They play this game against Newcastle. Newcastle is one of the best team. I can tell. I mean, potentially, and they played a good team, a good game anyway because Newcastle played well. But Brighton, Ferguson, 3 goals. The derby, as we mentioned before in the other podcast, uh, man, the derby is a masterclass. Masterclass
Yeah.
coach. He's the future.
One of the big clubs will come sign him up now. I just don't know if it'll be in the. Look, to the point. Look at Chelsea, right? I agree with you. They do have a good fan base. They do have a good history, right? And I think in the last 15 years, when Mourinho came, especially, obviously they upped their levels and they became a very big competitor with Manchester United when Ferguson was there. So I see a lot of value in Chelsea. I mean, they've spent over $1 billion now. So the Premier League is already 10% done. There's been 4 games already. Chelsea's only won 1, so they're sitting 12th in the Premier League. And yesterday, going back to Manchester United just for a second, and I'll tell you why. So yesterday, Anthony Elanga scored for Nottingham Forest, right? Nottingham Forest just signed him from Manchester United, the Swedish kid. He wasn't given the chance last season, and he's, some would argue, a better player than Jadon Sancho or Anthony, and they sold him, right? And now he goes on to, and the week before that, Anthony Elanga the 2 weeks before that, they lost 2-1 to Arsenal. They didn't deserve to lose, but he also had an assist there. So I think he'll have a good season. And going to Brighton, to your point, I mean, Evan Ferguson, I think it's a player we're going to follow closely this year. I think he's going to have a good breakthrough season.
What is in Igranit? We don't speak English, you remember? What? Liverpool is just the team that I don't understand very well because they have a great coach as well. They play good football. They had a good team. They changed some players. One game they play pretty well. Another game they are not doing so well. I don't know what's gonna be their position this season in Premier League. What's gonna be? They're gonna be in Champions League. I guess so. But it's gonna be tough because there are a lot of good teams: Newcastle, United, Liverpool, Brighton as well, Chelsea, I guess, City, Tottenham as well. Tottenham is they lost the best player of the team, Harry Kane, and they're doing well. They won 5-2. They played well. They have good young players. They have Kulusevski there. I like the Juventus. What do you think about Tottenham? I did expect to have this good beginning.
So Tottenham, yeah. To your point, I think, and I think for their fans, it's actually good because the last few seasons has been horrible being a Spurs fan. They were always the team that, well, Chelsea is the new Spurs in a way, right? Chelsea.
I guess the new Man United of last 10 years.
Man United is probably the new Spurs as well. I mean, that club's in turmoil, but. So Spurs, my opinion, I think, yeah, Harry Kane left, and I think it's one of those prime examples where when the best player leaves, everyone starts to up their game now because they all know they need to contribute. They have bought well. I think Ange Postecoglou, the new manager, who had come from Celtic, at Celtic he had won the treble there, so he has quite a good track record of success, albeit in the smaller leagues. Obviously, he also competed in Australia. The thing with Tottenham, and I think what people will soon see after the Christmas period, especially, is squad depth. I don't know if they have the squad depth to. And the thing is, they're not competing in Europe. They have a bit more time. Same with Liverpool, right? Liverpool didn't make Champions League, so they'll have a bit more time. But they're going to be playing Thursday nights, Liverpool, right? And we've seen it in the past with teams that compete with the Europa League, Thursday then Sunday or Thursday then Saturday. That's when the injuries come. And this is why Man City will go on from strength to strength because they're continuously adding squad depth. So you bring in the player on, the level doesn't drop. Whereas like in a team like Spurs or Chelsea, maybe not even, but like if you're looking at Arsenal, when they're bringing off a player, is the player they're bringing on matching the same quality? And I think that's the advantage Man City have. But Tottenham, I think they'll do okay. Going to Liverpool, I think Liverpool will finish in the top four. If they keep Mohamed Salah, I think they'll finish top four. They might even finish second ahead of Arsenal. I think City's already won the league. It's insane, man.
Momo Salah for sure gonna move to Saudi Arabia. I don't know if this season, but next season 100%. They want him to be
one more season in the Premier League is good, man.
One more season Premier League, and then he's gonna move for sure to Saudi Arabia because he's gonna be the ambassador of that football in Saudi Arabia, because he's Muslim as well, and for sure they want him 100%. I guess he's the most iconic player for Saudi people, more than Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, and Neymar.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, I agree. He's a good ambassador, and he'll be a good person to push that league by virtue of him also being Muslim. So I agree, but I think Liverpool will have a good season, man. I think Nunes is going to hit form now, and they'll go from strength to strength. Okay, guys, and just one thing also, before we forget, those of you that are listening for the first time, please like and subscribe. Click that like button, subscribe in the bottom right-hand corner. Also follow all of us.